So after we did the Fujifilm 35mm shootout, we heard a lot of you wanted us to do a shootout of the Fujifilm 23mm, and that's what we're going to do today. The Fujifilm 23mm f2 versus the 1.4. So the Fujifilm 23mm, because they are a lens designed for the APS-C sensor, it's equivalent to about 35mm in full frame format, giving you a versatile focal length for landscapes and some nice wide portraiture as well. So in my hands, I've got the Fujifilm 23mm 1.4, which as you can see is an all metal construction and feels quite lightweight despite how solid it really feels. Like with most Fujifilm prime lenses, you've got a clicky aperture ring, and the 23mm 1.4 has an interesting manual focus ring where if you pop it up, it becomes a autofocus lens, and if you pop it back, you can initiate manual focus. On the other hand, the Fujifilm 23mm f2 is also an all metal construction, but as you can see, it is a lot smaller than the 23mm 1.4. This borrows the same construction as their WR-F2 lens lineup, making it one, weather resistant and really compact. So for people who are traveling around, this is a really convenient lens to bring around. For video users on the other hand, the focus ring is pretty small on the lens, so it may be a bit difficult to use. So now I'm just going to go over the feature differences between the two lenses. So first off, the most obvious differences between the two is the maximum aperture. The 23mm 1.4 can open up all the way up to 1.4 as opposed to f2, which gives you one extra stop in depth of field control and low light performance. Secondly, the construction in both lenses is a bit different. So the 23mm 1.4 employs a 11 element in 8 group design with one aspherical element, and the 23mm f2 has a 10 element in 6 group layout with 2 aspherical elements. Basically, both of these constructions assist the lenses in minimizing chromatic aberrations and distortions. Thirdly, both lenses are coated with super EBC coating just to help with ghosting and flaring. And lastly, in terms of bokeh, the 23mm f1.4 uses a 7 rounded blade aperture diaphragm, whereas the 23mm f2 uses a 9 rounded blade aperture diaphragm. Now, performance-wise between both of these lenses, the most obvious difference is the autofocus performance. Now, both lenses focus really quick. However, the 23mm f2 WR lens actually focuses a lot more consistently and more accurate even when you stop them down to the same aperture. The 23mm f2 also works pretty well in continuous autofocus as well, and the motor that is housed within the 23mm f2 is a lot more silent than the 1.4. So for those who are looking at a more discreet and a faster focusing lens, which is more beneficial for people who do street photography or who are traveling constantly, then this may be the lens you go for in terms of autofocus. For video users, as I identified earlier, the manual focus ring on the f2 isn't the best, as it keeps running and you don't really have an indicator to find infinity or really the start and ends of the focusing range. Whereas with the 23mm 1.4, you've got hard stops, and something also really cool as well, there's a small depth of field indicator on the top of the lens, so you can basically control and know what your image is going to look like in terms of focusing. So looking at these sample photos, full of color, they're super sharp, and this is across both lenses, but one of the most interesting things I've noticed between the two lenses is that the actual field of view of the 23mm f2 is actually a bit wider than the 23mm 1.4. Not sure why that is, could just be something to do with construction, but you'll see them in the sample segment coming up next. So today's sample images were shot on a Fujifilm X-T2. Between the two lenses, the 23mm 1.4 is by far the sharpest lens out of the two. Center frame sharpness, even at its widest, the 1.4 is better than the 23mm f2 at f2. When stopping both down to f2, it's even more obvious. However, this isn't to say the sharpness performance of the f2 is bad. In fact, it is quite good. With depth of field, there's not too much difference here with the one stop. However, the bokeh is definitely more defined and smoother on the 1.4, even though it has less aperture blades. The construction of the blades really shows when looking at the bokeh between the two lenses. Distortion wise, both lenses do pretty well at both, and they share a similar performance when dealing with vignetting. Overall, both lenses are pretty good, but it's pretty clear that the 23mm 1.4 pulls ahead in terms of overall image quality. However, the 23mm f2 still does well to hold up against its bigger brother. So in conclusion, which Fujifilm 23mm should you buy? I really think they're both for two different audiences. So the Fujifilm 23mm f2, one, it's pretty cheap in comparison to the 1.4. And if you are a person who likes traveling or does street photography and are in need of a discrete lens that performs well, then the 23mm f2 is the perfect lens. On top of that, it also has weather sealing, which the 23mm 1.4 does not. So if you're a person that really likes putting your camera out into the rain or those harsher weather conditions, really your only option is the 23mm f2 WR. On the other hand, if you are looking for the best 23mm Fujifilm offers, then really you cannot overlook the Fujifilm 23mm 1.4. For a couple reasons. One, it's the sharpest of the two lenses, and with its center and corner sharpness performance, it's great for people who do landscapes as well as architecture photography. Secondly, if you're serious about portraiture, out of the two lenses, the bokeh performance on the 1.4 is definitely a lot better, and giving you that one stop of flexibility in depth of field and low light performance doesn't really hurt at all. If you have any questions on both of these lenses or have any future suggestions for any more shootout videos, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and our blog so you could be in the chance to win bags such as this one, read written reviews, as well as follow what's going on in store, which links to all three of those are in our description below. If you want to purchase any of these lenses, we've got links to them to our store in our description as well as our pinned comment below. And as always, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future updates as we upload videos every Tuesday and Thursday. That's what happened. What a save!